Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. As one of the most cherished Hollywood icons nowadays, anyone is all ears whilst it comes to Dolly Parton. The perky United States of America singer always knows how to light up the room along with her sunny disposition. However, this time, the reason for the songstress's trending information comes from a grey cloud. Carl Dean, Dolly Parton's husband, for nearly 60 years, abruptly exceeded. Let's take a look at the two's love story and the way Dolly Parton will navigate through the most challenging bankruptcy of her life, but this time without Carl Dean through her side. Plus, wait until you get to listen what the past Jew Carl Dean had to say. Approximately Dolly Parton's glamorous existence, so maintain looking in case you don't want to overlook out Carl Thomas. Dean was Dolly Parton's husband for almost 60 years. He might not have been a man who loved the limelight. However, he became Parton's important riding pressure behind her song. Dean spent most of his married lifestyles with Parton in privateness, which was anger at feet, given how different companions to celebrities opt to bask inside the spotlight. Dean, a businessman who worked as an asphalt contractor, tied the knot with Dolly Parton way lower back on May 30th, 1966, and they've been together ever, considering the fact that on March 3rd, Parton introduced VA short Instagram, submit the loss of life of her husband in Nashville at the age of 82. She stated how they spent many splendid years together and the way she couldn't put into words the love they shared for nearly 6 decades had Dean been alive. This will the couple might have celebrated 60 years collectively regardless. Parton changed into satisfied sufficient to have found Eamon who reputable and supported her in the course of those years, opposite to Parton, who turned into constantly on television, making hits one after the subsequent. Dean opted to stay at the sideline quietly, looking his wife do her factor, regardless of this comparison of their way of life. Parton became respectful of her husband's needs to live a reserved existence at the same time as Parton continued to stay her lifestyles because the big name that she become attaining one milestone after the following. Dean kept his head low and centered on his asphalt paving business. A long time later, their love ran as deep and actual as it ever may be, until Carl Dean's current passing. Parton commemorated her husband's privacy by using keeping a small and intimate burial ceremony attended by instantaneous own family just a few days after Carl Dean's demise. Parton took to Instagram, again releasing a track devoted to her husband's demise, titled If You Hadn't Been There. She also shared an image of them, way again, when they have been more youthful. Dolly is visible status at the back of Carl Dean with her fingers round his neck as she wrote that he will usually be the famous person of my lifestyle's tale. The song opens with gentle piano notes followed via Parton's trademark guitar as she sings approximately how her husband changed into her pillar of aid through the years. Heartfelt as it's far. Parton also recounted how they had a few ups and downs in the music, but nevertheless ended it fantastically through expressing gratitude towards the late Dean. Parton constantly wanted to be a singer, crediting her gift of track to her mother. She even went round and recorded a track titled Pup Love in Gold Band Facts, wherein she met Johnny Cash. This will be a turning factor for Parton on account that Coins recommended her to pursue a musical career after graduating excessive school at County in 1964. Parton moved the very subsequent day to Nashville, hell-bent on chasing her goals. Little did she understand she'd meet the love of her life on that same day. On Parton's first day in Nashville, she headed immediately to the laundromats to get her garments washed. Seeing how dirty they've been from her, she went to the wishy-washy laundromat, hauling her dirty laundry, and quickly loaded it inside the machine. As quickly as she was executed, she set off while a guy hollered and waved at her. It became Carl Dean being the U.S. A woman that she changed into. Parton was friendly and pretty, a whole lot, talked to absolutely everyone, so she became extra than welcoming, closer to the already smitten and Dean. He took that as an invitation and got here closer to her, signaling the begin in their connection. For Parton, she idea, he become just a friendly face. However, for Dean, it become love at the start sight. The first issue that popped in His thoughts, upon laying his eyes on her, was that Habib came going to marry her, and the way she was, good look despite the fact that Parton may be pleasant, there are some things she nonetheless holds in regard. She kept her guard up around here. Her cause was, which you in no way understand the possibilities that a person may additionally take you on a street and kill you. At least that's what she found out in an interview with These Days. Years in the past. Still, she could not deny the appeal, and on the spot connection she had with Dean, so what she did as an alternative became invite him over to her aunt and uncle's house, in which she was staying on the time in an interview with the New York Times lower back in 1976. She shared how Dean got here each day and that they sat together out at the porch while Parton did not have to babysit her. Nephew Dean took it upon himself to bring her domestic, introducing Parton to his dad and mum at once according to her past. Due husband Dean knew the first time he saw her that she changed into the one he wanted. They continued their romance even when Dean needed to enlist in the army. Rapidly after meeting her, their connection grew more potent until Dean in the end proposed to her years after their first assembly. Parton recalled how his suggestion turned into anything but romantic. Stephen Miller, the creator of the e-book Smart Blonde, Dolly Parton, even described Dean's marriage suggestion as sensible. Parton recalls how a would-be husband advised her that she's going to have to pass nearer into Metropolis. Otherwise they have to get married, and for the INL Dolly Parton, the choice was pretty apparent. The two have been properly on the street to their fortuitously ever after. But things aren't as simple as they appear, particularly with Parton's rising star fame. Their would-be union didn't draw flack from circle of relatives or friends. Alternatively, it came from her report label, specially her then manager Fred Foster. To be honest, the report label was best worried for her, wondering it would not do desirable for her picture and would make it harder for her at some stage in promotions. Parton and Deanne determined to push through with their wedding ceremony, particularly for the reason that former changed into so in love with him that she could not see. Immediately, they managed to drag off a small and intimate wedding ceremony with simplest Parton's mother, the preacher and his spouse as their witnesses. Parton and Dean sneaked off and went to Ringgold, Georgia, wherein they held the ceremony and walked out as Guy and wife Parton turned into Insistenton, bringing her mom A. Lee Owens to witness her get married, and the older lady was the one who gave component in hairdress and flowers for the occasion. It became a quick marriage. However, similar to that, Carl Dean and Dolly Parton tied the knot on a first-rate Monday and went again to workday. After today, the newlyweds had to postpone their honeymoon since Parton additionally had a radio guesting. The very next day. Through the years the couple became the difficulty of rumours due to Dean's elusive nature, and he made sure to take extra steps to hold his privacy. It even came to a point that rumours went round that their marriage become fake even greater. So whilst Parton's name changed into romantically related to different prominent figures there may be, Judy Ogle, a lifelong pal, she relied closely on mainly, while Parton became suffering with fitness problems returned within the 80s. She cleared up all those accusations in a 1991 interview with Vanity Fair, firmly declaring that Ogle wasn't her lover and admitting that there was a tremendous love between them, except Ogle. Dolly Parton became additionally romantically related to Burt Reynolds, her co-celebrity in the first-rate Little Wouse in Texas. Even though Carl Dean and Dolly Parton have been pretty tons in love, until the four's premature demise-own ordeal left a tremendous impact, not simplest on them, but additionally on her track profession. The event that brought about the theory of the 1973 hit. Jolene, can you consider one in all Parton's maximum prolific, if now not maximum well-known hits? Drew suggestion from a bank teller. Parton shared how Jolene changed into based totally on a neighborhood bank teller who had an overwhelm on her husband and became a little friendlier to him than vital within the song. She referenced Jolene as a person who has stunning crimson hair, and Parton found out years later that the woman indeed had purple hair. Happily, the flirting by no means went further and finally stopped, and the whole ordeal have become a going for walks comic story. Between Dean and Parton, however, Parton discovered to the Glastonbury Festival crowd years later that she clearly intervened and placed a prevent to that and bumped off that redhead woman in a hurry, but this wasn't the most effective example. Parton drew thought from her husband. She even used an image of him, because the album cowl of her first solo album, My Blue Ridge Mountain Boy. She additionally included one of his preferred artist songs, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, again in 2002 to honor her husband, and penned a romantic love tune for him in 2012. At the time, Parton needed to write a romantic tune for her movie, Joyful Noise, and used her husband as her muse. This introduced forth the hit song From Here to the Moon. And again, despite the fact that a number of humans doubted Dean and Parton's dating even going as a ways, as deeming him non-existent, the two never got swayed by using the naysayers, evaluations the motive, why their relationship lasted. This lengthy changed into due to their differing personalities, which keep things thrilling between them on pinnacle of Dean being an awesome guy who made Parton giggle. He was by no means jealous and turned into secure with himself. The two additionally renewed their vows on May 30th, 2016, and this time, both Dean and Parton dressed to the nines. This time she wore a beautiful wedding get-dressed, while Dean donned a complete suit, excited considering the fact that they weren't able to have fun lavishly the first time round, however, like their first wedding ceremony. The occasion changed into held inside the presence of some family members and pals, because they didn't need to place a strain on the entire occasion shortly. After their wedding, Dean and Parton went on a honeymoon of their RV, wherein they got to relax and spend high-quality time, collectively being married to a movie star, specifically to a high-profile icon. Like Dolly Parton, might entail sharing a piece of your existence together with her publicly, but no, Carl Dean maintained his privacy, even as additionally expressing complete guide of his spouse's endeavours. For one, he did have a taste of what Parton's existence become like, whilst he observed her at some stage in broadcast Song Inc.'s dinner one night time in 1966, on the time Parton had just won her first songwriter award for her paintings on. The music placed it off until Day After Today. She co-wrote the song together with her uncle Bill Owens, and also contributed and sang harmony in it on the time Parton wasn't signed. But as a recording artist, however, prevailing this award intended plenty to her. Considering that this turned into a momentous event, Carl Dean decided to accompany her with Parton, remembering how her husband wore a tux, and drove to dinner that night. It turned into Dean's first and handiest crimson carpet look, in which he sat through dinner and waited until Parton got up and claimed her award as quickly. Because it wrapped up, they went domestic. And that's when Dean ultimately expressed his genuine feelings, being the supportive husband that he changed into. He informed Parton that he desired her to have everything she desired, and that he was happy for her. However, he firmly instructed Parton now not to ever ask him to wait one of those dang matters again. Positive. Enough. Carl Dean changed into in no way seen at a red carpet nor every other public event with Dolly Parton once more. In spite of being absent in her tune-related sports, Carl Dean Morthan made up for it by means of continually being found in each non-public event and circle of relatives, gathering, displaying up for Parton on every occasion. He won't be active at supporting Parton's career by using being bodily present. However, he made positive, toe explicit, his guide in his very own ways. He turned into supportive of her in their early years, and he never as soon as became controlling over his spouse's ventures and agencies. This turned into one of the reasons why Parton hired managers to cope with those components, whilst her husband centered on his asphalt paving enterprise. Do you understand what's even greater? Ironic, Carl Dean isn't precisely a fan of his spouse's tune, at the same time as Parton is more of a country pop vibe. Dean leaned extra into hard rock like Led Zeppelin and bluegrass songone of the maximum persistent questions that hounded Dolly Parton during her existence, turned into why she and Carl Dean by no means had any kids. Parton eventually gave her honest thoughts in an interview with Saga Mag. Back in 2023, it seems Parton shared the equal sentiments as the various women of these days. She in no way actually concept, approximately having kids plus, she had her entire career and her track beforehand of her. If she had kids on the time, then she'd be forced to live home and take care of them. Something she couldn't decide to, given how she travelled regularly. It did not sit down right together with her to have someone else take care of her youngsters. Plus, she explicitly shared how she could hate to be bringing a baby into this world right now, especially with all it is going on. Usually say, God did not permit me have children so that all kids may be mine, she stated. Dolly Parton has braved many adversities in lifestyles, but the passing of her liked husband appears to be the toughest one yet. Nevertheless, it's right to recognize that she's surrounded via her loving community who maintain to specific assist in whatever she does. For one, Parton continues to be as lively as ever in her music profession. Again in 2022, she announced that although she would nevertheless make new music, she could be retiring from doing complete blown tours a whole lot, to her lover's dismay. However, as fate might have it, Parton, determined to come out of her retirement final, Yubi way of pronouncing the pleasant news. Yet she would be embarking on a new task, titled Dolly Parton's Threads, My Songs in Symphony. Even though technically no longer excursion, it has the identical factors wherein attendees gets to witness a multimedia symphonic storytelling, revel in encompassing the majority of Parton's discography at the side of the tales in the back of every track. What made this even higher is that it'll all be narrated by using Dolly Parton herself. Plus, this also allows her to go on an excursion and show off her tune for her enthusiasts without leaving her home for some time, and with less pressure and stress from the demands of going on excursion with a live band. Threads, My Songs in Symphony excursion will kickstart on March 20th at the Nashville Symphony. With this, Parton hopes she should take it a long way and huge toe symphony orchestras anywhere, seeing how she considers it as a journey via the heartstrings of my lifestyles. She could also flip her attention to the Dollywood Foundation, which she mounted to assist literacy education and plenty of other reasons in her hometown of Tennessee. Busy as she changed into in her career, Dolly Parton never forgot to deliver return to the community and the less fortunate. Because her father was illiterate, she became bent on assisting youngsters by way of offering them with the tools to prevail, beginning with books. This added forth the Imagination Library, an initiative that sends one ebook per month to each toddler enrolled in Sevier County, Tennessee from beginning till they reach the first year of high school. She highlighted the importance of schooling a lot, that she even gave $500 for each 7th or 8th grader who finished high college as a part of her program. Dolly Parton's philanthropic acts span a long time, imparting alleviation, aid natural world conservation, and plenty of other charitable feats that stimulated and advised others to do the identical. This is simply one avenue, because given how feisty and upbeat she is, there's a high chance that Dolly Parton might choose to maintain shifting. After all, she shared in an interview with Finest Hits Radio again in 2023, how she does a substitute drop, useless, then retire. She instructed the radio host Ken Bruce that she would by no means retire due to the fact she does now not take a seat around doing nothing. Parton stated, she'll optimistically drop lifeless inside the middle of a track on Degree. One day, with any luck, one that she wrote. She does not really have a say on how she'll exit into the arena. However, the 9-to-5 singer said she'll hold at it so long as she's able to work and her circumstance is good.